That Monday morning was bitterly cold, with January wind rushing through the 12th floor glass windows where I was sitting in a strategy meeting at Lambert and Rowe. The first quarter planning session had just ended, and I was still thinking through the cost analysis my assistant had just handed me when my phone buzzed. Callie, little sis, flashed on the screen. I hit silent and let the call pass. In my mind appeared the image of Mom's birthday cake 3 years ago, the year I rushed to book an emergency flight just to make it in time to cut the cake because Callie had forgotten her birthday and Nora was busy giving birth to her second child. It wasn't that I didn't love my family, it's just that after all these years, that love started to carry the scent of exhaustion. I am 35, single, childless, but I have a west-facing condo in downtown Denver, an SUV I bought myself right after being promoted to executive vice president, and a job I spent nearly 12 years climbing toward. Meanwhile, Callie is the bubbly youngest sibling who now stays home watching her kids all day because her husband works 3 jobs and still can't fully support them. Nora, 32, left the media industry right after getting married to focus entirely on raising 3 wild kids. Both live in the Boulder suburbs, about an hour's drive from me. I'm not jealous. Truly. I've just started to realize that the things they expect from me feel less like requests and more like assumptions. No one asks if I'm tired when I load up my car with wine and candy for the holidays, then drive nearly 100 miles to cook for everyone. No one checks if I have enough sleep after wrapping up the last quarter budget meeting, only to watch the kids so Callie and her husband can go reignite their spark. I've lost count of the workshops I've skipped just to pick up little Maya, Nora's daughter, from ballet class because you're free, right? You don't have kids? Sometimes I wonder, am I part of this family or just the emergency backup solution? I've never said no. At 17, I canceled my senior trip to babysit for Nora. At 24, I drained my entire savings to help cover Grandma's hospital bills without once asking where the money went. I did those things not out of pressure, but because I believed that's what grown-ups in the family do. But the older I get, the more I feel like a spare chair at the family table, used only when there's not enough to go around, but never truly saved for me. I remember one Thanksgiving, Mom casually told guests, "Emma's always busy, but she's always there when we need her." What sounded like praise sent a chill down my spine. No one asked if I wanted to be there. It was enough that I could. Callie's third call broke through the fog of thoughts swirling beyond the window. I sighed and picked up. "Hey, big sis," Callie chirped like there was no distance at all. "I've got exciting news. Mom's turning 65, so we're planning something big. Has to be grand, right?" "Oh, sounds fun," I replied, forcing some cheer into my voice, though a familiar tightness already bloomed in my chest. Something was coming. "We're thinking of a week-long family trip to Lake Arrowhead. Everyone's going. Oh, and make sure to keep the first week of March free. Also, we're splitting the rental cost. I'll text you the account number." I gripped the phone harder. Here we go again. No one asked if I wanted to join. No one said I was invited. But someone already had my money in mind. I let out a dry laugh. Could have been the winter wind, or maybe something colder passing through me. Something on the edge of breaking. "How much?" I asked, thinking I misheard. $5,000 each. Callie said it like she was talking about a grocery run. It's a chalet-style lodge. Super pricey, but worth it. Fireplace, hot tub, private boat tour, the works. My fingers froze above the Excel spreadsheet. $5,000. Twice what I spent on my last trip to Oregon. That one required hunting for discounted tickets, splitting a rental car, and budgeting every meal. "Callie, are you sure?" I asked quietly. "I know it's a bit steep, but it's Mom's birthday. You're the first person I called because, well, you've always been the generous one." I could hear the flattery sharpen like a knife. A part of me wondered, Had I played this role so well that they now thought it was who I had to be? Okay, where should I send it? I said, pulling up my banking app before I could second guess. Thanks, sis. Oh, and don't forget to take the whole first week of March off. Did we already tell your boss? Callie laughed, half joking, half not. I paused. No one asked if I could take leave. No invite email. No mention of what room I'd be in, which car I'd ride, or what we'd eat. Just money and time. Already spoken for. Strangers still. The next month went by without a word. No group chat, no itinerary, no packing list. When I texted Callie and Nora, their replies stayed vague, like they were guarding a surprise I wasn't meant to open. Still working on the details. Don't worry, Callie wrote last Wednesday. Just keep your schedule clear, Nora said quickly when I asked at Mom's dinner. I began to feel uneasy, but work pulled me back under like always. February's peak season, 2 Canadian contracts to close, non-stop meetings, emails from before sunrise to nearly midnight. Some days my only meal was a reheated soup at 10 p.m. Saturday evening was my only free slot. As usual, I stopped by Mom's for dinner. Snow was falling. The smell of beef stew rolled out of the kitchen, warm and comforting. Mom folded napkins into swans, glowing with anticipation. Nora was spoon-feeding James. Callie scrolled her phone, sipping red wine. I was just about to ask again when Callie looked up, beaming. Oh, Emma, we finalized everything. It's all set. I let myself feel a flicker of relief. Finally, I'd know what was going on. Great! So what's the plan? What day are we leaving? Carpool? Room assignments? Silence. Nora glanced at Callie. That exchange of looks made my skin prickle. Don't worry, Callie said, trying to smile. We've got everything covered. You just need to help with the kids. The kids? I repeated. Well, Nora jumped in. We thought if someone could watch James, Lucy, and the twins from Elliot's, plus Megan from Haley, we could finally get a real break. And you're perfect for it. You've handled 3 at once before. I set my fork down. Mom stayed quiet, ladling more stew into her bowl like she hadn't heard a word. Wait, I lowered my voice. You're saying, I'm not going on the trip with everyone? Callie inhaled, then laughed like I'd misunderstood everything. You don't need your own room. Lodges get cramped. And you don't love crowds, right? Plus, the kids love having you nearby. Remember what Lucy said yesterday? Aunt Emma tells the best stories in the world. Each word cut deep. They had planned everything from the start. I wasn't a guest. I was childcare, unpaid, uninvited. No one even asked if I wanted to be involved. I sat there, frozen, my chest tightening like it was caught in a vice. Emma, my mom began gently, like trying to soften the blow. I know you're busy, but if you stay to watch the kids, it would give me such peace of mind. Every family needs someone willing to sacrifice a little, right? I looked at her. It wasn't the first time she'd said that, but never had it sounded so hollow. I let out a dry laugh. It felt foreign in my throat. None of them seemed to realize, when something is taken for granted long enough, it eventually becomes unsustainable. Everything was revealed with ceremony that Saturday evening over a rare, full family dinner. Mom, in her sparkly beige sweater, raised a wine glass and tapped it lightly with a spoon. The table fell silent, save for the soft crackle of the fireplace in the corner. Kids, I have exciting news, she beamed, her eyes lit up with barely contained delight. Thanks to Callie, Nora, and even Emma, we've finalized the plans for a very special 65th birthday celebration. I froze. Even Emma? Did she mean the $5,000 I transferred without ever being told what it was for? Callie pushed her chair back like she was unveiling a new product. We're spending a week at Crystal Pines Resort. Lakeside cabins, skiing, evening buffets, morning spa sessions. Mom deserves it. The table erupted, clapping, clinking dishes, children yelling. Nora hugged Mom, and Dad launched into a monologue about bringing his old high school skis to beat his personal best. I just sat there, invisible. "Wait," I said. The words weren't loud, but they sliced through the commotion. "No one told me I was invited." Silence. Callie sipped water, eyes glued to her phone. Nora pretended to carve chicken for little James. Mom set down her glass and sighed. "Sweetheart, the girls already worked everything out. Who's in which room, the car assignments. Honestly, we all thought it'd be best if you stayed back to help with the kids." I tilted my head. "So I'm not going?" "Not exactly not going," Nora cut in. "You'd be in the guest cabin just off the main lodge to help with the kids while we go up the mountain. Some of the slopes are dangerous. We can't exactly bring the little ones." "5 of them?" I asked sharply, scanning the table. "Lucy, James, the twins from Elliot's, and Haley's daughter Megan?" "Uh-huh," Callie shrugged. "They love being with you. Remember a few years ago? James wouldn't stop crying until you held him." I leaned back in my chair, every eye on me, waiting for my usual silent nod, waiting for my predictable, "Okay." "We not hire a sitter?" I asked. I pitched in the money, I requested time off work, yet no one asked what I wanted. Dad forced a smile. "It's just a small thing, honey. Helping out with the kids for the family. You can't trust strangers with them." "You don't need the break like we do," Callie added. "You're not swamped with 3 kids all day. You've got the whole year for peace and quiet." Each word dropped like ice cubes into a glass that had long since gone cold. I stood, pushing my chair back with a scrape across the hardwood floor. "I get it. To all of you, I'm not on vacation. I'm a fully sponsored babysitter." "Emma!" Mom called after me. "Don't be so sensitive. Families need each other. Everyone has their role. You're great with kids." I turned around, voice even. "Not because I'm great, but because you all think I don't have the right to say no. Because I don't have a husband or kids or an excuse to back out like the rest of you." Silence again. I walked away from the table, past the hallway where a photo from 3 years ago hung. A big family picture. I was the one holding the camera. I wasn't in it. There was never a place for me in the frame, just my hands behind the lens, making sure everyone else looked perfect. Now I saw clearly where I stood, and I had no reason left to stay quiet. That night, I came home with a bag of untouched groceries, an empty stomach, and a mind spinning like loose film. The soft yellow kitchen light couldn't warm the emptiness sitting just under my ribs. I dropped my purse on the chair and walked into the living room like a stranger in someone else's house. The navy rug had just been cleaned. The couch didn't have a speck of dust. On the table sat a framed photo of the 3 of us sisters at the fall fair when I was 23. I held a balloon. Callie cradled her first baby. Nora was halfway through her ice cream. I'd taken the day off work to take them. Nora didn't have a car. Callie had just given birth. Her husband was working the night shift. I thought it would be fun, but I spent the whole time carrying bags, holding babies, managing jackets, cleaning up after them. I collapsed into the couch, legs stretched out, head tilted back. The memories surged like floodwater. At 16, I learned to cook 3 meals for 6 people in under an hour because Mom worked nights, Dad was in and out. Callie was in 2nd grade and cried at night. Nora was holed up studying, always slamming her door like the world outside was offensive. My holidays, I was the cook, or the table setter. I remember one Thanksgiving when Mom had the flu. Dad ran out for medicine. I, at 17, was on my knees scrubbing the floor watching the turkey, and keeping Callie from dragging a full basket of unpeeled onions into the living room. At 20, I skipped a trip with friends to send money home to cover the heating bill. That winter brought heavy snow. The house needed warmth. No one forced me. I just thought, if I gave a little more, everything would be fine. They'd see. They'd appreciate it. But no one asked what I needed. When I started working full-time at Lambert and Rowe, I made under $2,000 a month. I still sent back a third of it. Dad said the water heater broke. Then it was Callie's continuing education. Then Nora had twins and asked, "Emma, can you get a crib? A nice one. You're good at picking stuff." I thought that was trust. Looking back, it was entitlement. They didn't ask because they already assumed I'd say yes. No one asked where I wanted to go on vacation. No one remembered my birthday fell on a Monday last year, when they were too busy planning a baby celebration for Nora's latest. I ate a solo salad in the office break room, stuck a candle in a store-bought muffin. No one sent a message. I used to think I was indispensable to my family. Truth is, I was never seen as someone with needs, just someone who solved theirs. They call me Amazing Emma, but that amazing never came with respect. It sounded more like how you praise a robot for vacuuming on time. Useful, obedient. I walked into my bedroom, opened the closet, pulled out a dusty gray suitcase. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to leave. To step out of a role I'd played for far too long. On the bedside table sat a birthday card Nora gave me 3 years ago. Neat handwriting. "Thanks for always being there when I needed you." No, "What do you need, Emma?" No, "Can I be there for you?" I tore the card in half, then again, then into more pieces. Not out of anger, but because I didn't want to keep empty gratitude anymore. I used to believe if I just kept giving, they'd see how much I mattered. But silence, stretched long enough, makes people forget you ever had a voice. Now I remember mine. And I'll use it, not to ask for a place at the table, but to walk away from it forever. Sunday morning, I sat on the couch with my phone in hand, thumb scrolling through my contacts like each name weighed a ton. I stopped at Mom, took a deep breath, and hit call. 3 rings. "Hi, sweetie," she answered, tired but still trying to sound warm. "Do you have a few minutes?" "Yeah, I'm peeling apples for little Lucy. Go ahead." I gripped the hem of my t-shirt. I've thought it through. Instead of me staying back to watch the kids, I'm going to hire a professional sitter. I've already contacted a few certified, experienced people with clean backgrounds. They can rotate in shifts. I'll cover the full cost. Silence. I could hear the soft tap of a knife on a cutting board. "You really think it's safe to bring strangers near the kids?" Mom's voice dropped low. "They're not strangers to this job. I checked reviews, did initial phone interviews." "Mom, I just want to go on the trip. I'm not asking for anything more. I just want to be with everyone." A quiet sigh. "Emma, you're not exactly the type who enjoys big crowds or noise. You don't care for parties, skiing, or any of that chaos. You know that. Taking care of the kids suits you better. You just defined me as not made for crowds and made for childcare?" "Oh, come on. Don't be so sensitive. I'm just being honest." The call ended with a cold click. No goodbye, no promise to talk later. Before I could put the phone down, the screen lit up. Callie calling. "What the hell, Emma?" she snapped the moment I picked up. "Why? Mom just called me. Said you're trying to hire a babysitter? Do you have any idea how long we've been planning this?" I was trying to offer a fair solution. If everyone's going on the trip, then everyone should get to enjoy it. No one should be forced to stay behind as a reluctant babysitter. "You're always so damn logical, always calculating, analyzing. This is family, Emma, not a business meeting." A family that excluded me from the plan from the start? Took my money and assigned my role like slicing up a cake? If you're going to be that selfish, maybe just don't come. The second hang-up hit like an invisible punch. Then came the texts, each one like a blade slicing across already fractured trust. From Nora. "Emma, do you really want to blow this up? You always act like you're left out when we're just trying to make Mom happy. Don't ruin this." From Haley. "I thought you said you loved the kids like your own. Now a sitter matters more?" From Elliot, my cousin, you've always been the rational one. Can't believe you're acting like this just because you got left off the list. I read each one in silence. I didn't reply. But my mind flashed back to all the nights I canceled my own plans to answer late-night calls when Nora panicked about her twins. And Callie? The one who begged me to front the money for a new crib when her husband lost his job? None of that made it into today's guilt-ridden messages. The phone kept buzzing. A new family group popped up. Trip coordination, Arrowhead. I was added without being asked. Over 50 messages already. Photos of breakfast menus, hiking schedules, packing lists. Not one word about me as a guest. But one message from Callie stood out. Don't forget toys, nasal spray, and wipes for the kids. Emma's got them in cabin 3. Anyone have cartoons we can pre-depet? I left the group. Unfavorited Callie's contact. No tears, no shaking. Just the feeling of peeling back layers from something I used to think was love. I opened my laptop, typed in a travel site. I wasn't looking for a resort or anywhere with fireplaces, cake, or choreographed lies. I typed, Quiet Beach Rentals, California. Below the search bar appeared a beachside cabin with white railings and a hand-woven hammock. I booked it for 3 o'clock in the morning. The laptop screen cast a pale blue glow over my sleepless face. My finger hovered over confirm booking, like some voice was still whispering in my head. Mom will be disappointed. Callie will be mad. What will the family think? I clicked. Flight departs Friday morning. Destination, Carmel by the Sea, California. A small bungalow right at the ocean's edge. White walls, gray wooden roof, a balcony that faced wind-bent cypress trees. Nothing fancy, but quiet. No itinerary, no screaming kids, no text saying, "Can you help real quick?" I didn't say a word. No formal decline, no group chat responses. My phone buzzed constantly, but I turned off notifications and switched to airplane mode. They probably thought I was packing toys, bottles, and a 5-kid-friendly menu. They had no idea what I was actually packing. An emerald green swimsuit, 2 half-read novels, a brand new bottle of sunscreen. The morning of the flight, I left before the sun even rose. In the car to the airport, I didn't feel excited or nervous, just calm, like someone had turned the world's volume down. On the plane, I picked a window seat. As it lifted off, I closed my eyes and let it all fall away beneath me. The noise, the guilt, the years spent shrinking into a role. The rental looked just like the photos. Minimal furnishings, a wicker chair by the window, sheer white curtains, waves hitting the shore like a steady heartbeat. On the first day, I sat in the sand from noon until sunset. No one called my name. No little Lucy shouting for apple juice. No, "Hey, are you free?" I let my hair tangle, let sand cling to my legs, and ate a salmon sandwich with my bare hands. The next morning, I stopped at a roadside cafe. The owner asked where I was from. I said Denver. Then silence. No questions about my job, family, or relationship status. She just smiled, poured more coffee, and said the ocean looked beautiful today. I didn't open my laptop, didn't check emails, didn't read a single headline. Nora's texts were probably piling up. Maybe Callie had called 10 times. Maybe Mom was already calling me stubborn. I didn't care anymore. On the third afternoon, I rented a bike and rode around town, stopped at a farmer's market, bought a bundle of lavender and a jar of herbal honey. I hadn't meant to buy anything, but when the white-haired woman selling flowers said, "People who buy flowers for themselves are always beautiful," I smiled. That evening, I finished the novel I'd abandoned last year. As the bedside lamp glowed warm pink, I lay still, listening to the ocean hum like an old lullaby. No one needed me. No one texted for help. No one told me family means sacrifice. I finally felt light. Friday night, I turned my phone back on, not to check messages, but to order dinner. The screen lit up nonstop. 47 missed calls, 93 unread texts. I skimmed the first few. Emma, where are you? We're outside your house, no sign of you. What are you trying to pull? I locked the screen, didn't respond. Not because I wanted to stay silent, but because I was actually listening to myself. The sea breeze stung a little, but it wasn't cold. I clutched my thin shawl tighter, sitting on the balcony overlooking the empty shoreline. That night I slept 7 straight hours. No dreams, no interruptions. The next morning I woke up with a strange feeling. No rush, no tension, no guilt. I made coffee and turned on soft music. The space was quiet, and so was my mind. I wondered why it took me 35 years to live a week just for myself. Then it hit me. No one ever taught me how. Every time I tried, there was always that voice. Can you help real quick? I got back home Monday morning. The front yard was still covered in a thin layer of snow, my tire tracks cutting a clean path through it. No other footprints. No people. Everything was unusually still, like the whole city hadn't woken up from winter. I opened the door. Faint lavender oil still lingered in the air. I set down my suitcase, turned on the heater, filled the kettle. Everything fell back into place. Except for one thing. The phone. Its screen blinked non-stop like a wild animal trapped too long, now raging. I plugged it in. 15 seconds later, it rang loud and sharp. Emma, where the hell are you? A text from Nora. We came to drop the kids off and no one answered. Your car's in the garage. House was locked. What's going on? From Callie, 8 o'clock Friday morning. Can't believe you actually did this. From Mom, 10:12 that same day. I kept scrolling. The tone shifted fast. From confusion to concern to full-on fury. Messages fragmented. There were photos. The minivan parked in front of my house. The kids bundled up in thick coats, suitcases stacked beside them. Another picture. Mom in the front seat, hand to her forehead. Mom's been crying. We had to split shifts watching the kids. She didn't ski, didn't get a massage, didn't go to the party. You ruined everything. It was Mom's 65th birthday. You destroyed it by being selfish. We can't believe you ran off with no warning. It's disgusting. I put the phone down. My heart wasn't racing. My hands didn't shake. I just felt a different kind of cold. The chill that comes when long-standing despair finally turns to emptiness. 3 hours later, the doorbell rang. I was about to stand when I heard the key turn. The door burst open. A gust of wind came in, followed by 3 red-faced women. Mom, Callie, and Nora. You had the nerve. Callie stormed in without taking off her coat. We stood outside this house in the cold for nearly an hour. The kids were hungry, freezing. One cried, one peed themselves. You think this was okay? Your house was locked. No one knew where you were. I had to call Elliot to bring the kids back to Mom's. I had to leave in the middle of vacation to stay with them. Nora's voice cracked with rage. Leaning against the kitchen counter, I kept my voice calm. Who said I'd be here? You didn't reply to a single message. You never said anything clearly, Callie snapped. Because there was nothing to say. I never agreed. I was never asked. I was just assigned. Mom didn't sleep that night. Mom finally spoke, eyes red. She had to miss her birthday dinner just to get Lucy to bed. Your father slipped on the ice from the stress. All because you vanished like some irresponsible brat. I looked straight at her. You're calling me irresponsible? After I helped fund, gave up time, carried this family through every mess? I'm not saying you never did anything, she said quietly. But how you acted this trip? Unacceptable. Because I refused to play the background role? Refused to be your unpaid nanny? That's the real issue? No one answered. Callie stepped forward, pointing a finger inches from my face. If you think you're better than us just because you have money and no kids to worry about, you're wrong. You have no one, Emma. No partner, no children, no real family. You'll be alone forever. That didn't hurt. It just made something clear. I was only ever valued when I was useful. I pointed at the door. Get out. What did you just say? Nora froze. I said, get out of my house right now. Mom opened her mouth like she might object, then closed it. They stood frozen for a few seconds. Finally, Callie growled. You just erased yourself from this family, Emma. Good, save someone else the trouble. The door slammed shut behind them. I turned the lock, took the emergency key from its hook, slipped it into an envelope labeled Mom, and left it on the table. No one would walk in uninvited again. No one got to claim me just because they felt entitled to. The next morning, I woke up to pure silence. No alarms, no knocking, no messages begging for help. Some part of me still half expected footsteps, a strained voice over the phone saying, Emma, yesterday was just a misunderstanding. Nothing came. I opened the front door, picked up a delivery envelope. Thank you letter from the charity I donated to right after the holiday. No messages from Mom, no text from Callie or Nora, but my Facebook? Flooded with passive-aggressive posts. Callie posted a picture of her 3 kids with the caption, "So grateful my children are surrounded by people who truly love them and don't abandon them for selfish reasons." Nora wrote a long paragraph. Some think freedom means dodging responsibility, but family is about sacrifice, not convenience. Mom posted just one short line, I used to have 3 children. Dozens of comments from Aunt Linda, cousins, old friends of Mom. What did Emma do that was so bad? Prayers for you and your family to heal from this betrayal. I didn't respond, didn't clarify, didn't correct a thing. I deleted all my social media apps, removed the Sparks family group from my chat list, unlinked my email from Callie's shared calendar, the one I'd been tagged in for the past 2 years. That afternoon, I went to the salon, cut my hair shorter than usual, neat, light. The stylist asked if I was changing my look. I just smiled, no reason. I simply didn't want to stay attached to anything old. I started cooking for myself, not based on anyone else's taste, no extra portions just in case someone drops by. I tried new recipes, even if no one praised them or complained. Just the quiet aroma filling my kitchen, which was finally mine. Over the weekend, I went to a book club meetup, something a coworker had invited me to ages ago. No one talked about kids. No one asked why I wasn't married. People discussed books, life philosophy, and their favorite wines. I listened more than I spoke, but no one called me boring or treated me like I was invisible. I felt myself taking on a new shape, not an extra limb of some oversized family machine, but a real person living for herself. I booked a ticket to Italy, a trip I'd dreamed of but canceled 3 times because of last-minute family stuff. This time, no one knew. No one interfered. The evening I packed my suitcase, I opened the drawer where I kept the emergency key Mom once used to barge into my house. I held it in my hand. Not heavy because of its metal, but because of what it used to mean. A symbol of control, of the blind trust I gave without question. I put it in a box, labeled closed, do not return, and placed it on the top shelf. Not thrown away, not burned, just there. A quiet reminder. I used to think silence was the cruelest thing a family could give you. But it's not. True cruelty is when people only love you for the role you play, not for the person you are. I no longer want to be loved on conditions. If I help, if I sacrifice, if I stay quiet, no one can shut me out anymore. Because I was the one who closed the door, not locked, just no longer waiting behind it. From someone who quietly gave everything for her family, Emma has awakened from the cycle of manipulation and role assignments. She is no longer the free babysitter or the backup plan when others fall short. By choosing to walk away, Emma didn't just reclaim her freedom, she redefined her worth. It isn't measured by how useful she is to others, but by the respect she deserves. She chose to live for herself, with no guilt, no permission, and no looking back. What do you think about Emma's decision? Was she too harsh, or was it exactly what she needed to rediscover herself? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to follow the channel for more powerful stories about family and self-worth.